Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit about some Fluke basics. Fluke season is just starting, so we have all summer 2021 and into the fall here in New York to catch them up. Right now, everyone's still focused on stripers and bluefish, which is turning out to be a great season. But I did just kind of like a shakeout cruise to get my Fluke feet under me. I did go out for some Fluke, and I came out with some lessons relearned, right? Some fundamentals. All right, first thing I want to talk about though is my preferred Fluke rig. So my preferred Fluke rig is basically a high-low. It's pretty common up here. This is a new jig I'm trying from Papaw's Jigs. I'll include a link in the description. I really like it because it has this kind of built-in skirt for more action. And it's basically a swing tail bucktail, but with a really light 1/4 ounce jig head. And so you get a lot of action with that hook that can swing on its own. Down here, I have a bucktail, and I prefer not a tactical angler's clip when I am fishing for Fluke, but just a regular clip like this guy. And the reason is it's much easier to change out bucktails. That tactical angler's clip is like a paper clip, and sometimes a bucktail with a thick connection point. It is hard to slip on there, slip off there. And in a lot of the areas where I fluke, the current is pretty strong. So if I'm focused on changing bucktails, and that's taken me a while, I could be 20, 50 feet from where I want to be, just like that. So I want to talk about my Fluke rod and reel setups, right? So this is my favorite setup for any fish, stripers, Fluke, anything. And it's a Tsunami Airwave Elite, 7-foot medium heavy action rod with the Daiwa Fuego 3000. This reel has 15 pound Power Pro braid, the original Power Pro. And then depending on what I'm targeting, if it's bass, I'll go 40 pound fluorocarbon, 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. And if it's Fluke, I'll do 20 or 15 pound fluorocarbon. So that's really what changes the leader. But I find this rig will get me 35-inch striped bass, 30-inch bluefish from the kayak, or Fluke. Fluke are just as fun on it. So, great rod and reel. All right, enough mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the fishing. Current strong, huh? Not really? It's going out. How many ounces you got on? So right now I'm just checking what my my bucktail and teaser are doing in relation to my kayak. I cast out, and I'm seeing that the kayak is actually moving a little faster than the bucktail. And as you'll see later, it affects how I cast to start my drift. Bottom fishing. I kind of hate it. Kind of hate this. You didn't see any blitzes this morning here? Bottom fishing. I kind of hate it. All right, so what am I doing to not get snagged? I'm just keeping a lively rod tip. As soon as I feel weight and it doesn't feel like a fish, I kind of pop it up off the bottom, so I'm trying not to give it a chance to get hooked up. Notice that I'm not doing the John Skinner vigorous shaking of the rod. I'm more giving the rod the occasional jerk and lift. I'm going to experiment with both techniques, and both will produce fish. Aaron! So I let that sea robin go and then very quickly hook up on another. Why is there always life under a bridge? Oh yeah. Oh. On the Papaw's jig. So I want you to notice how I cast out to restart my drift here. I kind of lead the current, right? I'm actually moving with the current towards my left, and I cast out to the left so that by the time my jig hits the bottom, my kayak will have caught up with it. If I was casting just directly in front of me or behind me, I would have a big scope to my line behind me towards that bridge. It's on fire. Nice, nice.
Keeper in 2021.
So after my couple of sea robins, Aaron gets a nice 21-inch keeper fluke, and naturally I start to hate his guts. But you know, what can I do? I just have to keep on fishing and trying to catch up. It's just my competitive nature. Channel might be better. They're loving the this new jig I got. This is our last stand here. Last stand for Fluke. We switched. So I catch a few more sea robins, and you know I'll spare you those catches. But I do remember one thing I can do to kind of weed out or avoid the sea robins, and that is to only strike at what feels like a fluke hit. You know, sea robins will kind of strike, and it's, you know, and then there's a weight on your line, but fluke, it really does feel like somebody punched the rod in your hand, and then of course the kind of vigorous head shakes start. You know, think of like a sea robin bite as kind of a tap, whereas a fluke really does strike with kind of a puncher's fury. Anyway, so I do that, and I avoid catching any more sea robins, and I really wait for that fluke punch. Oh, not bad. Not bad. Before catching that fluke, I also made a change on the Papaw's jig. I switched out the green trailer that came with it for a pink and white Gulp Nemesis. And that's because two guys on a boat, you know, saw my rig, asked me how it was going, and I said I was mostly catching sea robins, and they said, well, that's because you're using green. And I wasn't aware of this, but they said that green was like crack to a sea robin. So I went ahead and made a change. And I think that's an important part of fluke fishing. Experiment and try different things until you find what works for the day. All right, that's all I've got for you guys. Unfortunately, I had to run to work. Aaron stayed on a bit longer, but he didn't get any more bites. He stayed a couple more hours. And consensus is that the water right now is still a little cold. The fluke are a little lethargic, but things should be heating up in the next couple weeks. I hope my own experience and the tips here kind of help you get off on the right foot for this fluke season. Bottom fishing. I kind of hate it. Kind of hate this. You didn't see any blitzes this morning here? Kind of hate this.